This week on the Media Boss Podcast.
I've stuck with the hearing industry because of its impact on the client and me.
Yeah.
You know, I love being able to help people increase their quality of life. So that's
Media Boss Podcast is brought to you by two of our new partners. One is Pantheon. I can't wait to tell you about them later. And brought to you by Convert and Flow. You're going to learn so much about them. But now it's time for the Media Boss Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Media Boss Podcast. I'm Dr. Barrett Matthews, and you know what I'm going to say. That's right. I have a great show and a great guest. Don't be mad at me because my guests are phenomenal. Don't be. I just happen to have them all the time. That's all. And I have another one today. Let me tell you about Brandon Andrew, guys. He's been in sales. And some of you are going to say, oh, sales. Yes, he's been in sales for 30 years. So it's not that bad a profession, is it, huh? And he's been in the hearing industry. That's right. You heard me correctly. He's been in the hearing industry for 17 of those years. So let me tell you something else. He just started a new company. And I'm excited to hear about it because he's here on the Media Boss Podcast. He started a new company called Sound Hearing and Audiology. And I want you guys to help me welcome Mr. Brandon Andrew. Brandon, welcome to the Media Boss Podcast, my friend.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here today.
I'm excited too, man. So I want to talk about, I want to get to a lot of things. I mean, we only have a short time, but I want to get to a lot of things. I want to get into, because we first started talking about sales. And how did you get into sales?
Man, that's a great question. So my dad was in sales his whole life.
Okay.
And same with my mom. So,
wow. You had no choice.
Yeah, I just pretty much, if you like to wear clothes, then you're good. Yeah. So, you know, when I was a kid, I think I started at about 12 years old. My dad was like, look, you need to be able to start learning how to come up with your own hustle. Right. And so he's like,
good.
What are you interested in? As a little kid, I'm like, I like bikes. So he's like, okay. So we started in the newspaper buying bikes, and I'd fix them up and sell them. My dad bought and sold cars. That's how he provided for our family. And so, you know, by the time I was about 15, I started doing that because I've been passionate about cars. My grandfather retired from Ford, uncle Chrysler.
Wow.
And so, yeah, just started buying and selling cars to just make some money. That's how I got through college and everything else. So yeah, big car buff, love cars. So
I was going to say, you went through college. You didn't go without a car in college.
No. I think I've owned, I don't know, probably 250 cars, something like that.
Are you serious?
I bought new, I think about 40.
Are you serious?
I love cars. I love cars.
You love cars.
Yeah. Last year I went through 5 new cars. So
last year?
Yeah. So it was a weird time, right? Because it's like the first time in history where cars have appreciated.
Yeah.
And so these were all new cars, but I would get a good deal on a new car, drive it for 3 months at 0% financing for 90 days, sell it. So I actually didn't make a payment on a car for, it was, I think, 13 months.
You just taught us a lot, just man.
It was kind of a crazy deal. You know, my dad, he passed away in 19. I keep saying my dad would be rolling over in his grave to see used cars appreciate in value and be able to buy a new car and sell it for more than for what you bought it for. It was crazy.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, that's just kind of a fun side thing.
That sounds like it's fun to do.
Yeah.
What kind of cars are you into? Or just any cars?
Cheap cars. I don't, yeah.
And I know some people are like interested into like classic cars or something.
Yeah. I love classics, muscle cars, all that. But I've always had a passion for like off-road stuff. So I've had a lot of Jeeps, like Jeep Gladiators since they came out in 2020. I think I've had 3 of those, and trucks primarily. I like sports cars too. So just, I don't know. I'm all about the feel of the car, not about really how it looks, but like the functionality. It's got to be functional, or I don't want to have anything to do with it. So anyway, yeah.
So Brandon, I mean, this is the Media Boss Podcast. So I'm gonna put this out here, man. That should be a podcast.
Maybe you should.
I'm just saying that should be a podcast. That's nobody that I know of has bought that many cars.
And it's kind of an illness. My wife comes out and she's like, "Are our cars breeding? Because that one wasn't here yet."
Right. Well, see, what had happened was,
I'm getting help for this.
Okay, wow. So, man, that's amazing. And I'm amazed that you actually got to avoid staying in the car industry with your family.
Yeah. You know, I would probably do it as a profession,
Yeah.
but I don't like a lot of the
Yeah. I get it.
stigma around
I get
that,
it. I
that
get
whole
it. It
thing,
does
you know,
couple
and
with- yeah.
yeah, and it's not really, you know, it's more of a, it's a hobby. It's just a fun thing to try out different vehicles, I guess. But
Right.
I've stuck with the hearing industry because of its impact
Mhm.
on the client and me.
Yeah.
You know, I love being
Yeah.
able to help people increase their quality of life. So that's
And this is why I'm like really excited to talk to you about. I mean, I love the car talk too, but the hearing industry, because this is a podcast, and a lot of times people listen to podcasts. Although this one they can watch, and of course we can caption it. Now, so this is like this, and we can transcribe it.
right.
So this is like really cool to me because I want to know, first of all, how did you get into the hearing industry?
It's a really good question. So I was a regional sales manager for a big countertop company, and
No
great,
surprise.
yeah, great company. And then, you know, one of my ecclesiastical leaders at church said, "Brennan, you know, you're really good with people. Would you be interested in coming to my clinic and checking it out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, probably not, but I'll check it out." You know, so I took a few days off, went, and I used to say I was sold.
Really?
I saw just the impact that he made in patients' lives and how meaningful that
It
was. And I
wasn't
was
the
like,
what, it was the why.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and for me, I was like, this is a way where I can reach people more and help them more. And I can see this would be more meaningful than what
Yeah,
I'm doing.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it kind of attracted me that way. And then, you know, went down the whole internship to be able to do that. And yeah, I guess the rest is history. But
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's good. So, what prompted you to even like take it further? Because it's it's easy for you to just come in and do some work, help with sales and everything. But if you took it a few steps further,
yeah. So I did that for a year, and then I opened my own company, and then '08 hit, and it's going down a different road now. But you know, things went really kind of crazy from that point. I ended up, you know, I lost my company through all of that. And went through a divorce that same year. It was really hard. And I'm like, I'm never getting married again. And then I get married a year later.
A year later, wow.
And now we're 14 years into that, 4 kids.
Good job.
So, you know, I guess the thing in that, to kind of tie both of those in, is what started as a really humbling situation. Put me in a mindset of, where do I go from now? You know, from here, what am I going to do? Decided to stay in the industry, but rather than owning my own company, to help build other companies up and helping other providers. And so I've done that. I've been fitting hearing aids that entire time, but building companies and helping them grow. And so in that time, I've probably opened about, 40 other hearing centers personally. Trained a lot of other people to do what I do so that they can give back in that way. And
I love this.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's been a really rewarding career. For me, and I've, thank the Lord, been successful in doing that, being able to provide for my family. And help other people connect with the people who are most meaningful in their life. So I've been really blessed.
And thank God for that. And so Brandon, you had mentioned about giving back and helping other people. What would you say is something about the hearing impaired that we as public generally don't know?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
I think most people don't recognize they have a hearing loss, and other people see it first. They're like, I've had to repeat myself 3 times now.
True.
And so I think the thing to recognize is that most people that have a hearing loss, it's not that they don't hear people. They do. They a lot of times just misunderstand or didn't understand what the person said, because most people across the planet that have a hearing loss, it's a comprehension issue. It's a clarity problem.
Okay.
And so the thing to be mindful of is to be patient, enunciate clearly with them. Um, and I think the thing that's hard for all of us is to try and put yourself in their shoes that, hey, they're at a disadvantage. They want to be a part of what's going on. And it's so easy, when somebody misunderstands what you say, to then turn your attention to somebody else, when in the reality is the person that you just turned away from probably needs it the most.
Yeah. And I've been guilty of that.
I probably have too.
I know I have. And and that is something that, it's something you have to learn to be more patient with.
Yeah.
And that's why. So let me ask you, what would you say? And I know this may be a hard question for you. What would you say is some impact that you've made in the industry since you've been working in it?
My dad always said, you need to always give world-class service to whoever's in front of you, whether you feel they deserve it or not. Or if you're in a sales situation, his thing was always, hey, the person who comes in rags could be the person who buys the most expensive vehicle you got, or whatever, right? And so just the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover.
That's
but
true.
For me, I think the impact that I've been able to have in the hearing industry is being willing to do the hard things and the things that nobody else does. So for me, in our industry, people come into a clinic, they get fit with their hearing devices. And then there's, devices called streaming devices where you can plug it into their TV and they can just click a button and the TV goes right into their hearing aids, right?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people watch TV. And so this is a quality of life issue. And, depending on their age or their familiarity with how do I hook this up?
Yeah.
I'll go out to their home after work and set it up for them.
That's good. That's huge.
Yeah. And I've been in well over 100 patients' homes doing that. I don't get paid for it. I don't expect anything out of it anyway, but I think it's, at the end of the day, the impact we make is how we can increase other people's quality of life. And by doing that small act of service for somebody else, you don't know how that's going to translate into their relationships with their spouse of, hey, turn it up, turn it down. Now they're able to hear, connect. They can share the same, joy of watching that Hallmark show or whatever that is. So,
and that's wow. Because it's something that those of us who don't have a hearing impairment don't think about that much.
Yeah, it's easy to overlook it, right? And like I said, a lot of people don't even recognize they have the problem.
Right.
And as guys, we're a little prideful. We seem to think, we're the last ones to admit we need help. And so, for those people, I think the best thing you can do is just be patient, loving, and encouraging.
Yeah. And then see, for those of you who were looking for your business to reach more people, that's an audience you don't want to overlook. Because we're talking media here. The great thing about media is that it can capture people who are deaf. It can capture people who are blind. It can capture people in all types of ways. You just have to make sure that you have the media to do it.
Right.
And the great thing about it now, they've made so many great strides to help make sure that the people who are hearing impaired don't miss out.
Right.
One thing. So that's a wonderful thing. And speaking of not missing out, let's talk about sound hearing and audiology.
Yeah. So, just partnered up with two amazing guys, Aaron Bolenbaugh, Dave Dutson. Dave Dutson was a CFO for some big manufacturers, and his primary focus was on acquisitions, finding other businesses that are maybe struggling, partnering up with them into a larger group to give them more of an offering. And he, decided to start his own deal, go on his own back in June. And me and my partner, Aaron Bolenbaugh, just partnered up with him. And, the goal is to expand across the Western United States. We're hoping to add, 50 to 70 more clinics over the next few years.
Nice.
We're looking to hire providers or people who are really passionate about sales and helping other people. We can help train them to do what we do. Or people who just work directly with the patients, our patient care providers or PCCs, patient care coordinators. And so for us, this is kind of it's a new venture, obviously.
Yeah.
And,
That's the exciting part.
Yeah. Both my partners are up in Oregon right now, actually looking at an acquisition up there today. And so, yeah, I guess we'll see where it goes. I'm really excited. Just started a month ago. So with this whole new venture. So, yeah.
So what do you have any goals for it right now?
Yeah. We're hoping to have about 6 to 10 more acquisitions this year.
Nice.
And to continue.
Like cars.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, hoping to do that every year going forward, to just build a company that's different. There's a lot of hearing, companies that are out there, but having all of us been in it for over 15 years each.
That's good. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's really huge. So with that, then we know who's going to be handling the sales.
Hopefully it's not me. I don't know what I'm.
Oh yeah, whatever. we know that. Now, with that, what kind of impact do you expect your company to make?
No, good question.
I come up with them every time.
You do, yeah. There's a reason why you're running this podcast. We're hoping that the impact that we create in this industry is one of focused around service, of really going above and beyond and doing what it takes to meet the patient's needs. A lot of times in any sales transaction, it's done, it's over. In this industry, once the sale is done, that's the beginning.
Yeah.
Because you're taking care of that patient's needs for the life of that hearing aid. And so we really want to set ourselves apart of being a company that leads through being persistent, consistent, and having integrity.
Yeah, I like that. So how would your company go about, or do you already have it in place to like acquiring clients?
A lot of marketing, direct mail. Obviously, we work with a lot of different doctors and working with referrals with our own clients.
Okay.
So.
And media.
Yeah, yes, obviously media. Yeah, and we're trying to get more on that bandwagon.
Yeah, we're gonna you and me. We're gonna talk.
Let's do this.
we gotta make that happen, man. I want to give you an opportunity right now. If you want to tell the audience any way they can support you, anything that you have going on that they can support you.
Gosh, yeah. If you know anyone who is passionate about helping other people and wanting to maybe get into this industry, either through a patient care provider, or somebody working at our front desk. Those are obviously, like anybody knows, the person who's behind the front desk is probably the most important person there, on your team. We're always looking for people who are wanting to make an impact and help other people. And, you can find me, Brandon Andrew, on LinkedIn. I'm in Utah, so I'm sure there's not very many Brandon Andrews out there. Anyway, yeah.
All right. Well, Brandon, I want to thank you, and our audience thank you. Make sure you guys support Brandon and be more patient with those who are hearing impaired. And Brandon, I'm going to call you when I need a car. So, Brandon, thank you for being a guest here on the Media Buzz Podcast, my man.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We'll be back with more of the Media Buzz Podcast.
Hey, everybody. The Media Buzz Podcast has been brought to you by our partners, Pantheon and Convert and Flow. Make sure you get with us so you can find out more about how you can help your business run smoothly with Pantheon and Convert and Flow.